special needs, autism. My goodness me, this is a very complicated subject indeed. I've spent many years researching the complex causes of special needs, ADHD, hyperactivity, autism, the autistic spectrum, Asperger's. There are so many names now. This is a really frightening phenomenon that has occurred in the last 25 years. Many people say that it's because there's better reporting structures. Many people say that there have always been autistic children, but that we are better at understanding them. The real truth of the matter is that this is not the case at all. We've always known that vaccination programs had a risk, and the statistical situation was that 1 out of 100,000 children may be potentially at risk, and particularly with pertussis. This was a risk factor that was generally understood, and many parents 40 years ago were advised that if they didn't wish to have the the pertussis vaccine, that it could be taken out of the diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, the DPT vaccine. And many parents did because of the risks involved, but they were very small. The great tragedy is that this is a very complex subject. Very complex indeed, and I've done many years researching special needs and have created a pack of 7 very important family formulas. These formulas form a range, and they follow the philosophy of the hexagon. So above, so below, so across, so right, so left. The complexity of cause and effect. And during this research, and the research was inspired by many special needs children. In fact, I think the statistics now in the schools is that there are at least 1 out of every 10 children have some form of special needs. And that's completely distressing. That is a great concern. It is a huge concern. The real truth of the matter is that our children are being damaged, and they're being damaged by multiple factors. We have to go right back to the beginning and look at families, the health of people, the health of young couples when they want to conceive. We have to go right back and look at the family inheritance, lifestyles, the sort of food that people eat, the water and the chemicals in the water. There are many chemicals in our water. Drugs, medicines, over-the-counter medicines, medicines used for headaches, for pain relief, medicines which are very strong indeed, such as paracetamol, which is rarely used on a daily basis. These pharmaceutical chemicals, which they say that there's something like 1 ton of chemicals being produced by the pharmaceutical industries every single day of our lives. It's quite shattering for every human being on the planet. And that level of contamination cannot be accepted. And there isn't any doubt that pollution plays a very negative role in the health of all of us, and in particular the barometers, the children. Then of course we have to look at the procedures and the medicines and the scanning. Scanning during pregnancy, it doesn't come without side effects. There is no doubt that a lot of research has been done in America with regard to scans, and there isn't any doubt in my mind that scans do have a negative effect on the baby. We know this because when we do the heart-lock theory and investigate past history, we see, for example, with babies when we look after them, that they're under real duress during the time of the scans. Furthermore, birth procedures and chemicals used during birth, like oxytocin, epidural, induction drugs, drugs injected into the mother to release the placenta, vitamin K procedures that are administered to the babies. There isn't any doubt that these chemicals pass through the baby barrier, the blood-brain barrier, the placenta, the whole concept of this awful chemical load on tiny babies is very complex indeed, very complex indeed. And then, of course, the first procedures that little babies go through, often they're taken away from their mothers because of cesarean section, epidural because mothers are paralysed, from their waist down and have no feeling, and so babies are taken away. And this sort of situation, even cutting the umbilical cord too quickly so that the baby doesn't get the stem cells, this has actually been very, very recent that they've discovered that stem cells are very valuable for little babies. So you can see that even before that little baby started their lives, they're subjected to a very heavy load of diverse chemicals and procedures that may very well impact on their lives for the rest of their lives. And then we have the vaccination program. The vaccination program has got bigger and more aggressive and more disturbing and more invasive and earlier and earlier. For a long time they were giving the BCG to little babies on the first 3 days of their birth, alongside the vitamin K. And the vitamin K has some serious side effects. Then, after literally 6 weeks to 8 weeks of a baby's life, and this includes very premature babies, even premature babies who should not be vaccinated until their birth date is 2 months later, and yet they are vaccinated within 2 months of their lives, which could well mean that they're only 9 months old from point of conception. And all these procedures, there's too much. These little babies' immune systems are already under duress, and it's so sad, because my belief is that it's not one issue that causes special needs children, but many. Our 7 formulas, which have been launched in Malaysia for the last 5 years and have been used in our special needs programs like Bentong and special needs centres, I've been using them as well with all my patients with special needs children for the last 5 years as well. But it's only recently that we've now launched these formulas so that they are available to everyone. And this is after many years of using them and realising just how very, very important they are. There are 7. They are created as a program, so it could be a 7-month program or a year program, or for however long each child needs each of these formulas. They range from, the first formula is called Olive Love. This is a very powerful formula, and I'm going to talk about it in detail. The second is Oak Care. This is very important for the heart. The third is called Cedar Hope, and it's for the spinal cord. And then we have Willow Nurture, which is extremely beautiful, and it's for children who've been traumatized in certain ways. Apple Calm, a very, very important formula. This antidotes and helps the baby to eliminate chemicals used at birth, the vitamin K, chemicals used during their lives, chemicals such as Calpol. It's important that these chemicals do not trap in the body. They pass the blood-brain barrier, and it's known that they do. So Apple Calm is extremely valuable for children who fit. And then we have Walnut Comfort, which is a very wonderful formula for little children who have tummy pains and little babies who gripe and excruciating pain when they have their milk, and then they curl up in pain. So this is an important formula. And finally, Linden Balance. Linden Balance is extremely interesting and has a marvellous effect for children and babies when their immune systems have been undermined or have literally crashed. So these formulas work alongside the tree formulas, they work alongside the flower formulas, and of course they work alongside the heart power formulas. They are special, they're absolutely designed to look after children. But remember, we were all children once, and we all need them as well. So it came not really as a surprise, but once I started working with them, I found that most people needed these formulas as well. So they have the capability of mending specific damage. And this, in my belief, is the only way to start to bring these special needs children back to health. Very, very important, untangling the journey, supporting the children and helping them to advance and have a lovely, healthy life. Special needs, very important formulas. Doesn't seem to want to switch off.